Good morning and welcome to FlossTube number 16. This is my third attempt at this video. I have a lot of stuff on my mind today, and apparently I keep saying things that rambling about things I wish I hadn't, because I keep stopping the video going, nope, I don't want to say that. So I'm going to start over. And I'm going to try to restrain myself a little bit. Welcome to FlossTube number 16. It's been 6 weeks since I did a video. I don't even know. I'm going to have a hard time remembering what I've said and haven't said, so I'm just going to go for it. And I'll try not to be too weird. My life has been a little stressful. Everything's fine. My kid's a pain in the ass. There's been a lot going on. And I spent 10 minutes talking about it in the last attempt at this video. I'm not going to do that because I'm tired of hearing myself. But I'm back. I'm fine. I have been stitching almost every day, just like normal, but not as many stitches because when I get stressed out, I tend to waste a lot of time. So normally when I would normally do, like, what's regular for me is to do like 500 or 600 stitches a night. I've been doing more like 100 or 200 a night, so less progress, but still, you know, working away on things. And I've got some things done, so I have some good things to show you today, but not as much as I might have at a normal 6-week stretch. But normally I wouldn't wait 6 weeks to come back to you. Just life. You know, it gets to like you can't do one more thing, right? So, okay. Moving right along this time. Speaking of people coming back, Andrea stitches in Colorado. She is back on FlossTube. In my last video, I talked about how she had to take a step back and for very understandable reasons, but we were all sorry to see her go. I'm super happy she's back because she's one of my favorites. Another person who's back, I don't know if hasn't done a video in several months, and I checked this morning and she still hasn't done another video, and I don't know that she will for any time soon or ever, but Rogue's Ace, my friend Susanna Rosencrantz, who I have spoken about several times in my videos, she had a pretty major health scare, of which I wouldn't say much, but I don't know much, so I can't say much. I'm just really glad that she is back amongst us, and I know that she is on. I've seen a little bit of her on Stitch Mania, so you know, she's got an Instagram account, and she does have a YouTube account. So you know, I think it'd be nice if anybody who hasn't yet already went to one of those places, like found her on Stitch Mania or on Instagram or on YouTube, and left her a little nice comment, you know, welcoming her back and wishing her a good recovery, good and speedy recovery. Because I've missed her, and I was real worried about her for a little bit there. You know, I've only interacted with her online, but you can make real connections with people who you haven't met in real life, and I was really preoccupied for a little bit there, wondering about her, and scared that we were going to lose her entirely, and so I'm real happy that she's doing better, and so go say hi if you feel you have a minute to do so. So, okay. Wow, when you make a conscious effort not to ramble, you can get through something fast. I think I was at like minute 15 or something when I got to this point on my list during the last attempt. Okay. Oh, speaking of Instagram, I want to make sure you all are aware of something that happened in the last couple of weeks on Instagram. If you are on Instagram and you're a stitcher, you probably are already aware of this, but if you are not, it would be worth checking out. Go look at the hashtag #PayArtists. Hashtag #PayArtists. Let me put a couple of pictures up here. First picture is going to be of Stephxstitch, and she's a designer, and the next picture will be of her design, and then I think I will put a few pictures of what other people have done. Anyway, so DMC they got a little comeuppance on social media in the last couple of weeks, thanks to Stephxstitch. And they had established a contest in which they were not going to pay artists. They were gonna they've got this, like, they're trying to play it off like it's for the good of the community or whatever. And they're putting together 1,000 free patterns for people to use. Obviously, when people go get patterns from DMC for free, most of the time they're going to be using DMC threads to stitch them, right? So it's not like DMC is not getting anything out of this. Well, DMC made a contest and was asking for people to submit patterns to contribute to these 1,000 free patterns. And your reward for being in this contest was exposure. People got ticked about this, which I think is perfectly justifiable. I'm gonna not rant this time because I've already done that, and I'm sick of hearing my own voice rant. But artists need to be paid. So DMC felt a little bit of appropriate pressure, and they are going to pay the artists $500 each. The winning artists, I think they said there'd be 5 winners, and they would pay them $500 each for their work. And I don't know. I have mixed feelings about DMC's response to this. It's not about DMC. To me, I'm just really happy that some designers and other cross-stitchers were able to kind of get together and put some pressure on a company to pay their artists. What I presume is an appropriate amount of money. I mean, $500 sounds good to me, but I don't know, because I'm not an artist and I'm not a designer, and I don't know. I also don't know, like, how much of the rights that DMC gets to these patterns, if the artists will not be able to sell them on their own sites, etc., afterwards or whatever. Anyway, I'm just happy that cross-stitchers and designers were able to put some pressure on a major corporation to do a little something different. That makes me happy. Okay, so, and I did, like, again, in the last attempt at this video, I ended up rambling for 10 minutes about this. We all, as cross-stitchers, in my opinion, trying to keep this short and sweet, we all need to be willing to buy designs and to not gripe about how much we pay for them. I am not talking about, like, out-of-print stuff. I'm talking about purchasing designers' work and not complaining about how much you're paying for a piece of paper or whatever. I've heard seen a lot of people complaining about, like, oh, cross-stitch designs, they're getting so expensive, and why are designers charging so much, Doing it again. Anyway, the designs are the heart of what we do. And usually, whether I pay $5 for a design, or I get it for free, or I pay at the upper end maybe $30 to $35 for a design from a designer, no matter how much I pay for that design, in almost all circumstances, the design, although it is the most important part of what I'm doing, the design is the least expensive, usually, the least expensive thing, part of the project. Sometimes by a lot. Usually when it's an expensive design, like a $35 design, I've got, like, major plans for it, and I'm using hand-dyed fabric, and a lot of times I'm using silks and, beads and all sorts of things. And all of that adds up. And, fabric for design can run you quite a little chunk of money. And then if you're using, like, NPIs or something, you might be talking about several $100s worth of threads. So paying $35 of all of that fund to, a designer for their work seems perfectly reasonable to me. If it doesn't seem reasonable to you, that's fine. And I understand people on fixed income, and not everybody has the money to buy the fancy flosses and the hand-dyed fabrics and, stuff like that. There's a lot out there for free if you if you don't want to, if you don't have the money or don't feel it's worth it to spend that kind of money on a design, I think that that's totally fine for you not to do that. What I don't think is fine is bashing designers for charging for their work. I've seen a lot of that, and I've seen designers bash other designers too. Nobody major, but you know, way back when I saw somewhere somebody was charging like $6 or something for, which is not very much for any design, for a little design. And somebody else commented, "Oh, that's sleazy. I only charge $3 for my designs." And I'm like, there are words in my head right now that I'm not going to share with you. We are not entitled to get a designer's work to use at the price we want. If it's not worth it to you to do it, that's fine. Or if you can't afford it, that's, you know, that's fine. But designers need to be paid. If designers can't make decent money, I would like to see some designers really do well. Really, like, I don't care if they get rich. If they get rich and that keeps them designing beautiful things for me, I'll pay more than I'm paying for their designs. Happy to do it. So, okay, that was, believe it or not, a much smaller rant than what I did before. Okay, moving on. Stuff I got. So, I'm not spending much money. I ordered a couple of patterns this morning from Pamela Hoover Macintosh at Stitcher's Paradise. I've mentioned her before. She's got a Facebook group, and I've been doing really good on not spending money, and unfortunately I'm keeping good track of it. And I looked this morning on Mondays. I kind of like, every Monday my husband and I each get a certain amount of money into our personal budgets, like an allowance. We get the same amount of money to spend however we want without consulting each other. And so on Mondays I go and I enter in the amount. And of course during the week, if I spend any, I subtract. And but this morning I hit a rather a sum that I was like, ooh, I feel rich right now. Maybe I need to have my husband do this for me so I don't have to see how much money I have. And so I ended up the kind of browsing, you know, and I went over to Pamela Hoover Macintosh's Stitcher's Paradise Facebook group, and I just looked at some of the designs she has, and I spotted a couple that I haven't seen before, and I ordered them, and they'll be here by the time I do my next video probably. I think they're older designs, but things I hadn't seen before, and I just was like, oh, I gotta have those, and so I ordered them. And they're certainly not things that are available on 1-2-3 Stitch or anything like that. So, but anyway, yeah, I had a weak moment. But I only spent $19. Got 2 designs and $19 with shipping. So I'm okay with that. And so, but otherwise, I got my next batch of GAST threads from Trisha at 3 Owl Threads. Oh, I'm sticking with what I got for the time being, but Trisha has, she's added a few new options to her, I think she's calling it her nest egg thing, her stash building thread subscription thing. And she's added some silk threads. It was just like Weeks and GAST. And now she's added some silk threads. I forget which brands. And also Threadworks. Oh my God, I love Threadworks. Threadworks is my favorite. But I'm sticking with what I got because I'm kind of a... I really like that I'm collecting all the GAST threads, and they're called for in a lot of patterns, and so I'm gonna stick with these for now. At some point, I may add the Threadworks, but I'm not gonna stop doing the GAST. So anyway. If you haven't checked out, maybe I'll put a link below, but Trisha at 3 Owl Thread, she has a Facebook group, she has an Etsy shop, but she's great, her service is great, her prices are good, and you know, she's a floss tuber, and she's going to StitchCon. I'm super excited about that. She's kind of a late addition to StitchCon, but she's going, and can't wait to meet her in person, and hopefully I don't like squeal and make a fool of myself. I love her. But anyway, check her out, and in no particular order, this is this month's threads. Cherry bark. I really like that. Very like reddish brownish, very, very pretty. I love this one. This is one of my favorites. Carrot. It's like the perfect cartoony carrot color. Oh, this one, I don't know if I'll ever use this. I'll keep it. I'll use it at some point, probably on something. This is called celery, and it actually looks a little better on the screen than it does in person. You can see like the greenish there. The bulk of this thread is yellow or peachy almost, and then there's the occasional green in it. That's not really what I think of as celery. And I've looked online, and maybe they all do look like this in real life. Like my camera's not quite showing it accurately. No, that's more accurate. But I expected there to be quite a bit more green in this. The yellow and the peachy colors, those are seen in celery, but I expected there to be more green in this. But you know, Gast is kind of famous for differences in dye lots and stuff, and I'm sure I'll use it eventually. But it's hard for me to imagine what I would use this color on. If there was more green in it, and less sort of blah, peachy, beige with a tiny bit of green, I could see more easily how to use it. We'll see. I'm not thrilled with it. Caramel corn. Chamomile. Buttermilk. This is a nice, see that, this, maybe not. I was going to say it almost looks like this is buttermilk with a little bit of green, but the buttermilk's actually a little darker than the beige in that celery. Butternut squash, which I think is a very aptly named color. Definitely looks like butternut squash. Chalk, which is, you know, basically white. If I do any more of the hands-on design urine chalk ones, which I don't know that I will, but if I do, there I have it. Cast iron skillet. So I have several blacks now from Gentle Art, and they're all a little bit different, but they're all very subtly different. And this one is carriage black, and I really like that one. I really like the carriage black. Okay, so that is everything I got. So let's talk about whips. So my Stitchy Bug was a little iffy this last several weeks. I don't know what I've said because I've filmed this video 3 times, but I haven't stitched that much. Everyday stitching, but not as stitching as much because I've lacked focus. I've been so stressed out, and when I get real stressed out, stitching helps me to a certain extent, but then to a certain extent I just end up wasting time. I try to make myself stitch, I try to do things that have to get done, and then I end up doing stupid stuff like playing video games on my phone. But I did start some things. I started 4 things, finished two of them, and then I worked a little bit on an old whip. But let's start with basically the first thing I worked on after I last spoke with you. There is a app called CS Saga that's available for the iPhone. I'm not sure what else it's available on, but it's available for the iPhone. And there's designs that are pretty inexpensive on there that you can buy. And let me show you a picture of the design I purchased. right here. There are several other similar designs on this app, like of basically bugs that are blackwork. And so that's the one I bought, and I started it, and I'm doing it in, like, I probably should have just done it in 310, but I'm doing it in Blackboard, one of the blacks I have by the Gentle Arts, because I want to use these threads. But honestly, I could tell the difference between it and 310 if I put them right next to each other, but nobody can tell. So it's a little bit wasteful, but what would be more wasteful is not using that thread at all, right? So although I have so much 310 thanks to my giant cone of 310 that it's also wasteful not to use that. Anyway, here's my start. I got a spider leg and some swirlies, and it's fun. This is fun. I'm a fan of blackwork. I love blackwork. It's just different. I just love it. So there is whatever that thing is called, blackwork spider. Okay, so the next thing I did is I've been saying for a while I need to do a biscornu, and I've also mentioned a few times about the magical mystery sals. And so I think it was Easter weekend, this sal was happening, and it all got released and it got done, and I did it, and I made my first biscornu. I don't know if you can tell on here, but it's a little funky, because I did it on my own hand-dyed fabric, and it turned out, even though I didn't realize it until I was a good portion of the way through the stitching, and by then I wasn't going to do something different, I was already invested, I realized that I have one of those, that this fabric, although I thought it was even, it was not. And it wasn't obvious until I really had a good square that was not a square. And it's my first biscornu, and I'm like, it's not square, and I wonder what putting together a biscornu that's not square, how that's going to work. Well, it turns out it does work. It's a little bit fussy because the way you whip stitch, I don't know if you don't do biscornus, you may have trouble understanding what I mean, but you whip stitch both squares together, and you have to use each stitch like straight across. You're putting a stitch through each stitch on either side of on either square, and you kind of have to do that. But if you've got uneven even weave, what you end up doing is stitching those together, but they kind of get off. So as you're going down the side, it's gradually, your stitches are not straight across anymore. They're getting a little more diagonal, a little bit more diagonal. It's still, like, it looks good still. It's fine in terms of the way it looks. However, it is, the shape of it, once it's done, it's not square. I'm amazed it worked. But I was determined. I was like, I don't care how this turns out. Even if it's butt ugly, it is getting done, and it's going to be a learning experience, and it's done. And I intended to use this, and I'm still going to. But I'm going to add something to it. There's this, at StitchCon, there's the smalls giveaway, and I kind of, like, I have to give it to that, because I put StitchCon 2018. Oh, upside down. I was upside down. StitchCon 2018 on the back. So somebody's getting it at StitchCon. But that was my first biscornu. My second biscornu, much better. I did it on good quality linen. Not linen. Even weave. Not Zweigart, but nevertheless true even weave. 32 count. Look how gorgeous this is. This is a design by Modern Folk Embroidery. They're on Etsy. Beautiful designs. It's called the Biedermeier Bouquet, and I bought that design, and I was like, I wanted to do a biscornu with it, but it was going to be too big, really. So I did it over 1 on 32 count, which makes it not too big at all. As you can see, not too big at all. One thing that I stumbled with, though, was that the finishing of it, because I did it over 1, there was an uneven number of threads that I used in order to make the outline of the square, of each square, you don't have to have an even number of stitches, but you have to have an even number of threads. Like you want, when you start your back stitching to go around, you need to make the back stitches the same length, and they have to go evenly. Like you have to go from one corner of the project to another corner of the project. And the only way I found I could do that and end up with stitches all being the same length and starting and stopping at the same point was I actually did the outline stitches over 3 threads. That made it work out, because doing this over one, it created an odd number of threads. So I fixed that by doing the back stitch with 2 strands. It's not a back stitch, it's a running stitch. Looks like a back stitch, but it's a running stitch with 2 strands over 3 threads, and that made it work out. It was a little stressful there while I was trying to figure out how to make it work. I tried doing it over 1. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't have to do that, the back stitch over 1, because I was able to cut the number of the finishing the Biscornu is laborious and time consuming and like fine detail work, and I found that doing the running stitch over 1 thread simply wasn't really going to work, but it would have been really hard. Even if I'd made that work and committed to that, it would have made it really hard to finish this off. But fortunately, I discovered that doing 3 strands for that running stitch worked really well, actually. So how I did this, I hand dyed the fabric, just blue. I mixed a royal blue and aqua and got this kind of nice like sky blue, slightly different color than what I got when I did dyed my fabric for Sleeping Beauty. So same fabric but different dye. I'm using on one side. Oh, and I had to stitch the design twice, of course. So it's quite time consuming. So, really I didn't do too badly, considering my motivation level. In Bubblegum by Gast, because I wanted to use Gast threads. And Butter Crunch. Oh, man, I love Butter Crunch. And I wasn't too confident about how the pink and yellow would look together, but I think they look quite nice together. And then I just put a little, I don't know what bead that is, a little like iridescent blue bead in the center to pull them together. And then I found a Gast thread, which is kind of wasteful, but nevertheless, Bluebell by Gast is almost a perfect match for my fabric. Completely accidental. But to make those, to make the whip stitch and the running stitch around the side. So when I go to StitchCon, these are going to go together as one package in the, and look how neat, how cute they are stacked together, even though this one's kind of screwy. These are going to go to some lucky person at StitchCon, because, I would just do this, but it says StitchCon 2018 on it, so I'm sorry. Somebody's getting an uneven Biscornu. But this is their consolation prize. Okay, so there's those. Then, I started, so those are 2 finishes. I don't know, I think they're finish number 6 and 7 for the year, I think. It might be 5 and 6. So then I started Time Traveler by Joan Elliott. And this is interesting. In an effort to kind of like re-inspire myself, I decided to try stitching a hoop, which I haven't done in many years. But I just wanted to do something different. And so I thought maybe my stitches would be neater, etc. And actually, until this morning, I was committed to using the hoop for the entire project this morning. Now, I've been taking the hoop on and off because I know that's better than to leave it on for like weeks or months at a time. I've been taking the hoop on and off, frequently to readjust the tension and stuff like that and move it. And this morning, when I took it off, I saw something really glaring, and this is why I will not do hoop. I will not stitch in a hoop again. I will go back to my tried and true stitching in hand, because I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I posted a picture of it on Instagram. But that right there, that's not just a hoop mark that will like iron out. That's threads that have been moved and stretched, sort of. All the threads are still there, but they have been shifted, and it's pretty obnoxious. I think it'll be okay. I don't know if there's anything I can do to fix it, but the way this design is, it's going to be off to the edge, and I think it'll be okay. So, nevertheless, I'm doing it. I'm going back to stitching in hand, though. I won't use that again. I was enjoying it, just as something different to do. I was kind of enjoying it. But that's okay. I'm going to go back to stitching in hand. So here's my progress on Time Traveler. Beautiful design. Enjoying her very much. Oh, I did also get all the, like, I placed an order on 123Stitch, and I had a couple of the beads and some of the Krynic, but I got what I didn't have, I got coming. There's several beads in this, and a few different Krynics, and I got them all. So I did go shopping for those. That was like 15 bucks or something. And then I, last night, after the play got over, the play ended on Saturday. Oh, I don't even know if I told you my son was in a play. That's part of the stress. Play's done. Stress is eased. It all sucked. It was good. He did a great job. But to my mind, it wasn't worth it. It was super stressful and, you know, actually kind of expensive, because nowadays our schools are not funded very well, and turns out if you want your kid to be in a play, you're gonna shell out a lot of money. At least we had to. So, and a lot of time and a lot of like everything, just a lot of energy. And but the play got over on Saturday, and on Sunday I what did I do? There's something I did on Sunday that wasn't stitching. I can't remember. Anyway, when I decided to stitch again, I decided I need to get out something old, because stuff is getting neglected. I'm doing all these, like, I just stitch what I want, and I don't feel bad about it, you know, because stitching is mainly to make me feel good, and so I stitch what makes me feel good, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Doesn't matter how many whips I have, whatever, as long as I keep feeling good about it. So, but some of my older whips are calling to me, and I want to work on them. So I looked through, but I was still feeling kind of like lukewarm about stitching in general. And but basically, what I did is I opened up my giant bin of whips, and I went through it, and I just started picking stuff out and waited for something to say, "Stitch me!" And so I went back to Shores of Rock Run Hollow, and I am looking forward to spending some time on this today. I haven't done much. It's last time you saw it, I won't show you a picture. Last time you saw it, the top 4 blocks were done. And as you can see, I'm working on the center block now. And I haven't done that much. It's hardly worth showing to you, but I'm feeling reinvigorated for it. I think I won't say I'm gonna get that center block done before I put it down, because last time I said that about this project, it was on that 3rd block that was all that white. There's a lot of same mold colors and stuff, big blocks of colors on there's a boat there in the middle, and there's water, and there's sails, and there's a hull, and, you know, it's going to be lots of stitching in one color, and the chances are extremely high that I'm going to work on it for a few days probably, and be done. You know, be like, oh my god, I can't stand this anymore. So, because oh yeah, that's a lot of the same. So yeah, so big blocks of everything. I really like that compass though, but it'll be fun. It'll be fine. It'll be easy. But that's it's gonna get boring. So we'll see how much I get done before I quit and do something else. Ah! I'm not gonna cut that out. Oh, we're all crooked now. Oh, let's see here. Maybe I will cut that out. Maybe I won't. We shall see. Oh my gosh. Come on. I don't know. I think you're back to normal, sort of. Okay. Was I gonna say anything else? I can't remember anything. Oh. No. I guess that's it. I have no idea if you'll see my husband in this video. He's got interesting plans to do something, but he has been so busy too. He's a good dad. Let's just put it to you that way. And he's been really, really busy, and so I don't know if he will make time to insert a fun little video for you or not at the end. So we'll just have to see. Anyway, I guess that's it. I feel like I was going to say one other thing, but no, I guess not. I mentioned some things out of order, and this is actually kind of a short video for me. That's what happens when I like rethink half my rants. So, okay, I have missed you all. Oh yeah, I was watching one of the people who's coming to StitchCon, Marlene Stitching by the Lake, who is a lovely person who I've only watched very sporadically, but I think it was her. She was talking about how she misses us when she doesn't do a video for a while, and how that's kind of strange because you might miss me because you're not seeing me, and I certainly miss the FlossTubers that I'm used to watching and I expect to get to watch and have to wait for a while for whatever reason. I miss them. But it's weird to be like, well, I miss you guys, because I'm just sitting here talking to myself for the most part. But I do. Like, I know you're out there and you're listening to me, and I do miss interacting with you. So, excuse me, just a minute. Thank you. Hair in my mouth, and it was driving me crazy. Anyway, I do miss you guys, and I'm sorry that I took 6 weeks to get back to you, but I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. So, well, I could have, but I decided that that it was wiser for me to not add anything that might feel like stress to my life, even though talking to you guys is very, very much enjoyable. It also even positive things sometimes can be stressors. So, you know, I just had to take a break. But I've missed you all, and I have been working on watching some videos, and I will see you again hopefully in 2 weeks. I do feel my stitching bug coming back, and like the Shores of Hakran Hollow and some of my other older whips are calling pretty strongly to me. So hopefully the next couple of weeks between now and the time that school gets out will shape up to be reasonable time in our home life, and I won't feel crazed and freaked out and worried, etc. All the things you can get when you have a 17-year-old. And so hopefully you'll see me again in a couple of weeks. Anyway, bye all. Have a good day.